Melbourne, I have Patrick van der Burgt. Good morning, Patrick. How are you doing?
Good morning, Nick. How are you?
Very good. Nice of you to join us here. Patrick, you'll be up here for the Freedom Summit. Just mentioned that again in October 23rd, 24th and 25th, doing a presentation on what we'll be talking about in a moment. And also you have a stand there, I believe, with some of your products. You are the Director of GeoVital Academy Australia New Zealand, which is part of GeoVital Academy for Radiation Protection and Environmental Medicine, which has a 30-year history in Austria. I was really surprised and happy to hear that. Tell us a little bit about the overview of the academy itself, what you do.
Well, GeoVital, we're originally a naturopathic clinic based in Austria. And we identified quite a while ago that we could do wonderful things with natural health in our clinic. But unless we send our patients back to a home environment, and more specifically a bedroom, where there were no health burdens to counteract what we were doing in the clinic, that we're really fighting this uphill battle that really you can't win. You do wonderful works, and 6 months later they come back with similar symptoms. And so we started investigating, patients' homes, and we identified that there's lots of things that you can do to improve your environment and improve health. But in our experience, we identified that radiation exposure from both man-made sources, as in wiring and transmitters from mobile phone towers, that sort of stuff, natural radiation, and also mattress health, that those subjects, they weighed the heaviest, so to speak. So if we address those, well, then the work in the clinic are really easy.
Yes. Well, I mean, there is a lot of research that one can find. I mean, as you would know, there's quite a movement up here of awareness regarding these issues, regarding towers, wireless technology in the home, electrical circuits, as you're alluding to. And there is a lot of research clearly linking health issues with the exposure to these kinds of radiation and others. But there's also a lot of counter-information, and I know that many people are quite confused by, and thus often don't take, and I include myself in here, quite often I forget to turn the Wi-Fi off at night. A lot of people still don't take enough action regarding this. There seems to be a disjunct between the awareness that does exist and the actual proof that is so strong and so true out there that people go, I must do this, I must do something.
Yeah, that's right. There's always conflicting information, and I guess money has a lot to do with it.
Yes.
Look at the research that's available. If you look at research, and of course the funds available for research come from industry.
Yes.
Most of it does. So if you look at the research that was funded by industry, that tends to find that there's no problem. If you look at the smaller amount of research that comes from other sources that were funded, then they identify more that there's an issue. And of course, it is a health burden, and we're all different, right? So, one person may be able to deal with something for a longer period of time before they become symptomatic, where another person gets that much quicker. And there's quite a distinction between being affected by radiation and being symptomatic. So, your body can be affected. There's all these things going on in the background, inflammation markers going up, your sympathetic nervous system being triggered when you've got a mobile phone next to your head, or just from the wiring behind you in your bedroom walls, which is still your number one source of radiation exposure. And so, that can be taxing you as you go along, and that can take, for some people, decades expressing itself. It never expressed itself. For other people, it takes 5 minutes. Some people are more sensitive to this stuff, and you probably know a couple of people like that. They check into a hotel room and they go, oh, no, there's something wrong here. I need another room.
Yeah.
And that proportion of people is getting, sadly, bigger and bigger. Because we are, we're pumping more and more of this radiation in the air, and we're basically electrocuting ourselves very, very slowly.
Yes, I'm thinking now I'm sitting in a radio studio here with a hell of a lot of technology and wiring in all the walls and God knows where.
Nick, there's a very important thing that people and yourself should realize as well, right?
Yeah.
The body is meant to wear during the day, and at night the pathways in your body change when you're asleep, and that's where your body repairs itself. So in terms of this radiation thing, you can get paranoid about it, and I don't think there's a need for that either. we identified that, the bedroom is where this matters most. You need a regenerative sleep. Now, the 95% of the bedrooms we go into, and we ask people, for example, and this is a home assessment. What we do is like a 2.5-hour process. So it's not taking a measurement and here you go, here's the answer. For example, we ask people to lie in their bed because we've got a strong focus on this bedroom, and we would measure, for example, their foot for electric field exposure. Now, that comes from the wiring behind you in the bedroom walls.
Okay.
And in 95% of bedrooms, that is dramatically way too high. So the key is to get the bedroom right. So even though you're sitting in that studio and you've got all this equipment around you, yes, that's not good for you. But the key to improve that, and sure, there's probably little things you could do there to improve that situation, but the key is in your bedroom at home. We have the same thing. We work with cabin crew and airline pilots. There's just no hope in changing their environment, but the key for them to strengthen and support the health is at home, and that goes for everybody. If you're a taxi driver, cars produce a lot of radiation. Places at work, register somebody might be working on. You're sitting on a computer with your hands on it all day long. There's a lot of stuff you can't avoid. But thank goodness we've got control over what happens in that bedroom, even when it comes to the radiation from transmitters like mobile phone towers that's being pushed on us by other people. We have control in the bedroom, thank goodness.
So when you say we have control in the bedroom, obviously you can't change the wiring, or you can turn your Wi-Fi off, but if there's a mobile phone tower up the road that's beaming across you, what actually can you do when you make these measurements and you find that there is a problem as you're speaking about here? What can you then do?
Yeah, good question. We only work with verifiable solutions. So no disrespect, but, hanging a dream catcher on a window and saying your home is now neutralized, balanced, and harmonized, we don't work with that.
So my ohms at night don't work then if I'm just ohming there for a few hours? That doesn't have an effect?
No, not saying that, things can't be supportive, but we only deal with solutions that actually in a verifiable way reduce your exposure to radiation.
Yeah.
So, for example, with internal wiring, there's a very cool little gadget. It's called a circuit cutoff switch, and this is installed in the meter box, and this guards a circuit in your house. Let's say a PowerPoint circuit that feeds the electrical wiring in your bedroom. When then at night, which is easily achievable, you turn things off at that circuit. So let's say your bedside light is the last thing that requires power. When you turn this off, this switch all the way back in your meter box will cut the power, and the entire circuit is now deprived of electricity, and so the electric fields are gone. If you need power in the middle of the night, you turn the bedside light on, flick, the power comes instantly back. So it's business as usual, but whilst you're not using electricity, you've cleaned up that environment. Now, when there's sources from outside, so for example, your mobile phone towers are of course very topical. The smart meter is trying to be, to put it bluntly, forced down people's throats.
Yes.
In most states, all these sources of radiation, Wi-Fi from neighbors, cordless phones, radar, airport navigation, Bluetooth, the list is endless.
Getting tired just listening to you with all of that, my goodness.
Well, the thing's hopeful. The thing is, like with natural health, you can do a lot of wonderful things for yourself, supplements, that sort of stuff, but it takes a regime.
Yeah.
With radiation, if you have your house assessed and then deal with it, it takes care of itself, and you don't really need to think about it. But with the transmitters, you measure the body to measure how much radiation is actually arriving. In our experience, it's not so interesting to actually measure the output of transmitters. You want to know what arrives in the body. And if that's too high, then a barrier, shielding can be put into place. So, for example, we have our own shielding paint called T98. That can be painted on the inside of bedroom walls and the ceiling. So you basically create a Faraday's cage. And that keeps all that radiation out, and you paint over the top. If we're building a brand new house, then we can shield easily the external walls of a house with shielding paint or a shielding mesh, and then we can create a completely clean environment on the inside of the whole house.
You also talk about, because I know you do purvey mattresses. What's the thing about mattresses, and why is generally a mattress a problem, or a futon even? What is the problem with those kind of beddings?
I'll try and keep this short.
Yeah.
We looked at mattresses, and being a natural health clinic, we place a large value on a thing called intolerances. There's a difference between an allergic reaction to a material and an intolerance. An allergic reaction is where somebody gets what's classified as a violent reaction, so you might get a rash, for example. An intolerance is far more subtle. If any of your listeners have ever experienced something like muscle testing or electroacupuncture, or vega testing, those are testing methods where somebody can be exposed to a little bit of material, and then the body is being measured to see if it has a negative reaction to it, like muscles can be weakened or...
kinesiology, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's something we looked at. We said, well, what should a mattress be made out of? Because a lot of our patients had intolerance issues with your normal foams, which are made with chemical propellants. So we looked at natural materials. We found latex to be the biggest problem, actually. We found most of our patients had an intolerance to latex.
Okay.
There's other natural materials which can be good, but, for example, cotton, but you ticks in all the boxes, and you want, for example, a material or a mattress which breathes really well so it doesn't absorb moisture and the moisture doesn't sit there, which is a massive problem with the memory foam mattresses. But, for example, cotton, which is in itself a nice material, just put a wet T-shirt on the bathroom floor and wait for it to dry. That takes a long time. So a mattress needs to breathe well. It needs to not contain metal, because when you think about it, a box spring mattress is like a massive antenna that attracts radiation to it. It should be anti-static, which most mattresses are not, so statically you're out of whack. It needs an open structure so moisture can get out, so we make it inhospitable for bacteria and fungus. And then it needs to be a material that people don't have intolerances with. And we tested about 600 different mattresses, try and find one. We couldn't find one, and eventually we ended up making our own. And we've got those with us at the Freedom Summit, so people can come and touch and try and feel them. And they feel great. And mind you, most mattresses feel great in any showroom. You ask somebody, how many times have you bought the same mattress, twice? And everybody said, no, because it was always a disappointment in the end. So the showroom experience is it doesn't work. You kind of need to see, all right, what's the thought behind this mattress? Where does it come from? And ours have been designed to generate health recoveries. That's the aim of them. So yeah, they're very different.
Fantastic. Patrick, we're going to have to leave it there for this time. Very interesting stuff. In fact, new information, I think, for many people who are, even though very aware of these kind of issues, there's some really good clues in there. And we look forward to seeing you up here for the Freedom Summits. And for those interested in what Patrick's talking about and GeoVital, it's geovital.com.au. And Patrick will be up here for the Freedom Summits October 23rd to the 25th. Thanks very much for joining us, Patrick.
Thank you, Nick. And just maybe if I can add one little thing.
Yeah.
Just to give everybody, something that they can use straight away. There's different types of radiation, and one of those is magnetic fields. They come from power lines, the big walkers most people know about, but also the ones that run up and down the street. That is the one type of radiation that you really can't fix. Even we can't fix it. You can't shield against those. So when any of your listeners are house hunting or looking to rent a house or purchase a house, you should buy a little instrument, and we've got those available if necessary, that you can take with you whilst house hunting to measure this type of radiation. Because if you purchase or lease that house, then basically you've got yourself a melon. We can't help you with it, and there's lots and lots of research linking that to cancers, issues. The list is endless. So that's something very important for your listeners to take away from this little interview.
And what is that instrument called?
EMF meter or a Gauss meter.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks. Patrick, we will talk to you again when you're up here. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for the interest.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.